Hey.
guys.
Hey, Meg.
Hey Liz,
How you doing, girl?
I'm doing really good. How are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I am so excited for, I guess, episode 2 of Watch of the Week, where every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, you and I are bringing the fans a topic of the night, talking all things TV, film, what you should be watching, what you shouldn't be watching, and random binges. But tonight, I feel like it's going to be just one topic because we're kicking off with Falcon and the Winter Soldier and talking about last week's insane episode and how they went there. If you guys didn't watch, what are you doing? Go watch it and then come back and join us or watch the recording of this because we'll be done by the time you watch it.
Right? Spoiler
But
alert. Spoiler alert.
this is like all the spoilers of the alert spoilers you can get. Okay. Falcon and the Winter Soldier last week was insane. But before we kick off, a couple housekeeping things. Meg and I are the co-founders of purefandom.com. We are a fan website that's all about positivity and geeking out. We're always looking for new writers and podcasters. Reach out to us, Liz at purefandom.com or Meg at purefandom.com and come write for us. Come join the fun. We also host a podcast, Space Cowboys, where we recap Roswell, New Mexico on the CW network and talk about a bunch of other like geeky, fun, amazing things. But Meg, okay. First of all, what would you rate out of 10 last week's episode? And then I want all y'all in the chat too to drop 1 to 10, 10 being the bombest of the bombest in a good way, your rating of last week's Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
I don't know. I feel like as far as these episodes have gone so far, like I feel like this was the best one.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna go on the 10 side.
I'm going 10. I agree.
It had like it could have been expanded into a mini movie. There were so many things happening. Like what does the chat think about it? Like the Twitch people, are you loving the drama? The Facebook people, are you loving the drama? Like what do you guys think? Because I feel like coming off of like the Wanda high, I did not expect this level of dark and grit. Like grief, yes. Bitch in costumes, yes. I was ready for that. But like, oh man, like whoa, we got real. Even though it's like still fictitious, it felt like intense.
We have Jazz just dropped in the chat. I hate to give it a 10 so soon, but 10, it was so OMG. And Jazz, you're right. It was OMG. And I love how you call it the Wanda High. I was trying to think of a way to it would just be called Wanda Fridays. And there was a Wanda High. And I was so excited. I know we've talked about this because you feel the same, especially your hubby, Mike, being an X-Men fan. X-Men is usually, when I think of really dark in the Marvel universe, not necessarily MCU, just Marvel in general, I think X-Men, because it's just the storylines are so deep. It's more emotional. You know, I bonded with that as a kid because it was like these people that were weird and confused. And they went there with Falcon and the Winter Soldier last week. I mean, that shit was dark. If you don't know what we're talking about, quick recap. John Walker, the new Captain America, he stole the last vial of the serum after our favorite dancing buddy stepped on them all, or he thought he did, and destroyed them all. And then after John Walker got his ass kicked by the Wakandans, the Dora Milaje, pardon me if I didn't say that correctly, he wallows in his sorrows. Then he takes the serum, which, as we all know, amplifies your existing feels and vibes. So he's very angry, confused. He has a lot of stress. Yeah, he's got a lot going on. His best friend gets murdered in front of him, and then he murders a super soldier in public on camera with Cap's shield.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. I didn't know what to say. I'm not generally speechless from TV, like short of season 2 reveal of Rapunzel, the TV show. We won't get into that tonight, guys. You're not ready for it.
Y'all ain't
whoa.
ready for that. That'll
Mhm.
be like we got a couple weeks of Watch of the Week before we bring in Tangled the series. We're working on getting Mandy Moore booked right now.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Of course.
Yes.
Mike Oz is on that. Mm-hmm.
Whip it up. It's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I
I've
was
got a
just like,
message to Mandy Moore out right now, so I will let
see,
you know when
Awesome.
they respond.
yeah,
Perfect.
this is
Thank
us.
you.
What? She wants to be here,
She does.
right? With the
She
wind in
does.
her hair. Um, so I was just like staring at my screen. They like zoom down, you see like the blood on the shield. Like, what do you even say to that? Knowing exactly what Steve Rogers stood for and always wanting to do the right thing, and he was just such a good man. Not to say that like John doesn't have good tendencies. He also has a lot of bad ones, and they were amplified by the super soldier serum, like you said. So like, I don't know, I guess it was to be expected that there would be some darkness, but like I did not, that was like, to quote Veronica from Riverdale, like full dark, no stars. I just didn't know what to say. Like, what do you say to that?
I think like the same. I was speechless and I thought about it and I was like, okay, they've been talking about, the core of this season has been the shield and what it represents.
Hmm.
And we all knew what it represented, right? Like it represented Steve Rogers. It represented Avengers Assemble. Like he defeated Thanos. It was just this big symbol and this beacon of hope. And I don't think as the audience, I realized how much that symbol actually meant until they showed it in a completely different light. And when you do that, when you take something that has so much meaning and you give it something that means something completely different, what ripple effect does that have? What bad people does that empower? What what can that do? What that could do is make bad people think that's okay, right? Like it, you
Right.
know what
Like
I mean? Like that behavior is okay.
empowering that those feelings in other people, that it's
Right.
okay to do violent things in the name of good, which is what he was doing, what he thought he was doing. But is definitely because like obviously we understand why Bucky and Sam are like against him being Captain America, but like I think as viewers we wanted to give him a chance and be like, all right, you're a soldier, like you were on a mission, and I think that is where we start to see like, okay, like he is not on brand for this. Like he's almost too much of a soldier minded person to carry the shield, because Captain America didn't just follow orders, he followed his like heart, and he had a really good heart. But John Walker's just like, no, I have to do this thing and it doesn't matter what happens because of it or what gets in my way. He's just like
Well,
so driven.
yes. And I think it's important that we talk about before we dive into, and I see Jazz says again, they cheered when Dora Milaje kicked Walker's butt. And we were like, you go, girl. Yes, we love the fierce women power. I will take them kicking anyone's butt. Like, even if it was anybody, I'd be like, it's them. I'm fine with it. But I think, and we'll talk about the whole controversy on Twitter where was it right or not for the Wakandans to put a failsafe in Bucky's arm? We will discuss. But first, Meg, I want to talk to you a little bit about because I think it's important in order to talk about like why John Walker is the way he is and how we should feel about it. We should talk about like who he is, like who this person is. So
Mm-hmm.
he's military who served in Afghanistan. And he talked about alluded with his buddy before he died, the terrible things they had to do there. He saw his best friend murdered in front of him. He has this pressure of being Captain America. He's kind of failing at every turn. And what I took from that was that I think there's some PTSD from his time in Afghanistan there. And that's just that little notion of dropping that in the episode, I think it told me so much about his character, because I don't think he's an asshole.
Right.
I think he's just, he fought for his country and he did some pretty horrible shit. And it's like, how do you deal with that? and that stuff just compounds. And then when it's like, now you're Captain America, and he even said, I'm not proud of my medals, like I know how I earn those, I'm not proud of that. So I think that he just I like that they did that, because it's kind of it's a really good way of showing where the country in this universe is, where after the blip, and that it is more complicated than just defeating Thanos and then everything's great again, because there was war going on while the blip was happening.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like the war in Afghanistan was still happening while the blip, during the 5-year period. That's a lot of emotions. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I agree. I think that the pressure of being Captain America kind of comboed with his, having to follow orders and doing these things that, like he said, these terrible things that he had to do as a soldier. I think given the amount of power and then the serum, like all of that combined, like it is not shocking that he was pushed over the edge. Just like the pressure to prove himself to everyone, and especially, having Bucky and Sam there, the people he probably wants to prove himself to the most at the time. I think that all of his emotions were just so heightened in that moment, and that rage and his past, and like it definitely rounded his character out more, but it's still like super shocking. Like it's so hard to watch something like that happen, knowing that he feels like he's doing it to get information. But even like, yes, he's doing it to get information. Yes, that person was involved in like this other horrible thing that's happening. But you have to always remember, like Steve Rogers, Captain America, would never go that far, no matter how much information he wants, no matter how, you know, good he thinks he's doing. He'd never like cross that line.
Right.
So
Never.
yeah, it's jarring for sure, as like
Mhm.
lovers of Captain America, to see like literal blood on the shield.
Oh, I was like that scene and everyone holding their camera. It was like,
Hmm.
holy. And next week we see, I'm assuming that's when they steal the shield back. There's going to be an epic fight. They steal the shield. I saw, you know how I am about my wild theories, and I saw someone say, I bet that cabin that Bucky and Sam are at is Cap's. I don't know if he's there,
Oh,
but maybe that was like his.
ooh, I want that like emotion where they're like
Oh,
looking at pictures, feeling sad,
Valence.
missing Cap. Yeah, like, oh, I wish he was still around as like an old man. And he's just like sitting on a bench, and they can be like, so this is what happened, since you probably don't go on YouTube.
Right.
Your shield's been compromised. And like, I don't know. I wonder if, like you said, the ramifications of this, like what will happen, that like trickle down effect of it. Is it going to cast like a dark shadow on all of the Avengers just by association? Will people stop looking at them as like these beacons of light and hope, sort of thing? Like,
Is John Walker technically an Avenger though?
he's Captain America. I wouldn't call him an Avenger, because I feel like that was like that crew.
Uh-huh.
And anyone who picks up the mantle after them probably isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, if you're just a casual superhero observer after the blip, not really caring or paying attention, like, well, Captain America is Captain America, and maybe you never really saw his face, and who
Right.
cares? Like, he sucks now. So, I don't know.
Um,
Darkness.
Someone on YouTube, a teen bland, pardon if I say your name incorrectly, says, I love the chemistry between Bucky and Sam. It's just from the moment they were in that car in, was it Civil War?
Yeah.
Where
I
they're
think so.
like nodding like this to Sharon and Cap kissing. And it's just,
Oh, speaking of her, do we
yeah,
think she's the power broker? Like, is that something we think? We don't even know what she's doing. She's just like being a boss lady. Doesn't it feel like that's what she is? The fact that they haven't died yet is probably
right.
because of her.
agreed. I wouldn't be surprised if she was the power broker. And I don't think she's bad. I think she's just doing what she needs to do to survive. And like, I don't hate a woman for that. I'm like, girl, you have to do you. I'd be pissed too. You thought Cap was your man. And then he's off doing these support groups during the blip. She's off having to be power brokering. And then she finds out he goes back in a time and dates her aunt. Like, I would feel slighted.
Little bit,
So,
little bit.
like, not that I don't, you guys know that I ship,
Cap and Peggy.
oh my gosh, I was going to call her Haley, but that's her real name in real life. Cap and Peggy all day. But you know, I feel where she's coming from. Let's talk about the arm.
Bucky's arm.
Bucky's arm.
Okay.
And we want to hear your thoughts in the comments too. I don't understand why there was ever any. I don't understand why folks are upset that there was a failsafe built into the arm. One, because like if the arm comes on, it can come off. Like even if you hit it wrong, it could come off, you know, like it's like anything. You hit it in the right spot and that thing could pop off. If it's a real arm and you hit it in the wrong spot,
whack. Give me a shield.
So it's just like they took him in. Okay, the Wakandans took in Bucky while he was still like he was still in Hydra, you know, like he wasn't he was still a threat. And they did it because they, you know, were trying to be helpful and they helped him through this. So of course they're going to build some sort of fail safe in with his arm. I don't know. Like, I don't think it was to be shady at all. I'm not like into that.
And I think you're right. Like, obviously, there has to be a way to connect it. It's not like nanotech that like grew out of him, you know?
Right.
Like they slapped it on there.
Yeah.
She slapped it off because he was being sassy. Like it makes sense to me. Like, I don't know. Gave him a toy. He was effing around with it.
Right.
You know, defending the dude that killed the king. Get your toy taken away. Like that makes sense to me as a mother.
Me too.
You know?
You misbehave.
Shiny new thing goes away.
You know, like what my parents said to me when I said I want to run away at 16. They said, okay, take off your clothes. Take off those earrings. Did you buy those earrings or that clothing? No, you did not. You can go out with what you purchased. Thank you.
I'd have some candy bar wrappers and like an Us Weekly.
I know.
My dress.
My Tamagotchi. Maybe like a hair wrap that I made. You remember the hair wraps where you would twist them around? Oh my gosh, I remember.
He obviously had one. Yeah, one of those things like here. And then you'd have to cut them off because like, what are you going to do with them?
You can't take them out. I remember I put like 10 in my American Girl doll and my mom was so pissed because those things were like $200 back in like 94. Like,
yeah.
Sorry, Samantha.
I was just say sorry, Samantha. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
So Bucky's arm. I think it makes perfect sense. I get the whole trust thing, but like he was also like a brainwashed super soldier. So like you can trust people all day, but you know, that's some crazy tech that they just slapped on him. I think it makes sense to have a way to take it off. And I don't see it as a betrayal. I think it's more like security for Wakanda. Like he was in Wakanda when it happened, like when they put it on. So yeah, I think it makes sense. Definitely.
Well, and like the, you know, the Dora Milaje too, if they went against their, you know, beliefs or policies, they probably have their, you know, titles stripped away or their weapons taken away. So I just looked at it as like, hey, you're a soldier. You didn't follow what I said. We gave you that. And she didn't take it. She was just like, stop. That's enough.
You're done.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it makes perfect sense. He was probably bummed out, but like looking at the fact that he's legit defending the dude who killed the king. So I don't think if he thinks long and hard about it that he's gonna be like hurt. Like you deserve that and you know that. That wasn't cool.
I think he was just more surprised. And we have a Jazz, one of our fans watching said, while I agree that people are overreacting, I can understand why they're upset. Poor Bucky. He has so many feelings about not feeling worthy to Sam. If Steve was wrong about you, maybe he was wrong about me. That may bring up those feelings 100%. So
That
I
scene.
agree. I don't think it
Jazz.
was, I don't think it was the fact that it was just that the arm was taken off. It's what that meant. It brings back those feelings of
rejection, not being worth it. That I can totally see.
Right.
But I think that if he, like, initially, I can totally see why that was like Bucky's feelings, and you could see that on his face. He felt like betrayed for a moment there. But I think that she was probably also feeling pretty betrayed that they took him in and they took care of him and like accepted him, and like he was like fully accepted by them, and now he's betraying them. So like I can see both sides of it, but I just want to wrap him in a blanket and make him soup.
I know,
because he's so cute.
Same.
Little buddy, arm or not.
I know. Micah Vaz says, I like the disarm, but I didn't like how easy it was to put back on. Maybe it was like magnetic.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's
like do you think it was that? Like it was.
It's Wakandan.
Wait, Mike, we can't hear you.
Oh, it's like Wakandan, you know, vibranium metal, but it was like there was such a complicated, cool move to take it off, and it felt so demeaning and purposeful that then when he's just like, oh, you know, it's
like
fun.
A slap bracelet.
Yeah. I felt like that diminished it a little bit, but it made it also that he could fight for the rest of the episode. So I get it. Also, my sisters had a Samantha and a Kirsten, and that I'm just here to say that.
Oh, nice.
Nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Mike. I think it would have been. I feel like it would have been more of if they were trying to make it more of a thing. Maybe like if she would have picked it back up.
Yeah, if
like
he could have put it back on,
right?
I would have been like, oh my god. Because if he's just like carrying his arm around in like a bag for the rest of the season, then I'd be like, okay, that's effed up. But he was just like, oh dang, you know.
Agreed. Okay. So we got. We want to hear your theories for not tomorrow. What's today? Wednesday for Friday's episode. Drop them in the chat. Let us know what you think. While we kind of dove into that, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, Meg, on other characters on TV that have kind of had that same path as John Walker, or movies, you know, TV or film.
Well-intended good guys.
Yeah.
Missing the mark on what it means to be a good guy. Like,
that's it.
Having the pretty suit and the pretty shield doesn't make you like Steve Rogers, clearly. I don't know if anyone watched The 100. It's a very like anti-hero show. Like there wasn't really a good guy on that show. Clark, the main character, girlfriend like murdered so many people for her side. Like she was like, ooh, gonna have to kill this whole mountain of people, dunk, and killed them all to save her people. So like we think of her as a good guy because we're following her around in the story, but like she could easily be the villain if you just like flipped the script and looked at it from all those dead people in Mount Weather, you know. I think she was definitely a semi well-intended person for a long time, but kind of switched everything towards survival and her goal. And her goal was always to keep her people safe, but it ended up like effing all these other people all the time, like every season. So I like that. I like it's not, I guess, not like an anti-hero, but it's definitely more in that wheelhouse, you know?
Like the John Walker thing. No, totally. I mean, other than the obvious Thanos, you know, I feel like I could do a thesis on Thanos. But the first one that came to my mind was Daenerys Targaryen in Game of Thrones. You know, it's no matter your thoughts on the final season, I think it still helped further the discussion of what she had been doing over the entire series. Like, was that right? I mean, was her nailing all of the slave owners to the you know, basically crucifying them like they had the slaves when she arrived in Yunkai, right? That's where she was.
I barely knew anyone's
This is
name.
terrible. I did a whole podcast on this. Well, whatever.
dragons.
There were dragons. Yeah, I think it was Yunkai, you know, where when she had arrived and it was like, was that the right thing to do? And she had tried both ways, right? Like she had tried to do what Tyrion was advising her to do, was you have to be a better ruler. You can't do the same thing that the people you're trying to defeat were doing. You know, unless we're like really at war and they're attacking, you don't have a choice. But
she's like the John Walker, and Jon Snow is the Steve Rogers.
There you go. Now we know where George R. R. Martin got his material.
Way to go, George.
Stanley. Jazz is back with dropping more wisdom. Magneto is also a great example. Fantastic example.
Because in his head, he's like, and that Mike, my husband Mike, he talks about all the time in podcasts with you, Liz, about how he thinks Magneto has valid points. Like people are oppressing his kind, and he's not gonna be nice to them because they're not nice to his kind. You know, like it makes sense, and it just depends on which side you're looking at, like who's the good guy. Although in X-Men, they never let the humans be the good guys. It's always just different X-Men. But you know what I mean?
Well, we are kind of terrible. So, I mean, I get it.
Point.
We are kind of horrible.
Points were made.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I loved the prequel. Not what's Disney Plus calling them now? X-Men Legacy, like First Class. I thought great in terms of Magneto, like showing, you know, him being in Auschwitz and then why he went on this path. I mean, of course he thinks humans are terrible because he suffered at the hand of some of the worst humans in the history of the human race, in the history of history. And then you have Days of Future Past, where it carries that on to Mystique, where was she really in the wrong to kill Trask? You know, did the buck stop there? Do we have to resort to killing? Same thing. We have I think Mike Vaz is dropping this in more about Daenerys. So she sacks Astapor, that's right, defeats the forces of Yunkai, conquers the city of Marine, where she stays to rule over Slaver's Bay. And that's where, you know, she's starting to realize how her dragons are like killing some of the farmers stuff. She's dealing with all the politics, all the things. And then after the Slaver Alliance fails to besiege Marine, the slaver cities surrender. The system of slavery is abolished. And then that region is renamed the Bay of Dragons in honor of Daenerys and her dragons. But remember, that was after she...
Wait, did that all happen in the show?
Yeah.
I watched that show.
Yeah, I know. It's a lot.
Thank you, guys.
But when they're renamed the Bay of Dragons, that's when that final battle where she ends up, because she tried to make a deal. They didn't follow the deal. And then she's like, all right, I'm unleashing my dragons on you.
Smoke them? I remember that part.
Right. That was a great scene. Was that?
Need to rewatch that. Clearly.
That was either, remember, was it season 7, the second to last episode that happened? Because remember for a while, like the second to last episode of each season was like the episode. That's where like shit would go down. I can't remember, but
I assure you, I don't remember. I didn't remember week to week, and I loved it. I don't know why I had like a block in my brain for Game of Thrones knowledge.
I used to rewatching that every year was just, but now I'm like, would I want to rewatch it again? Because I don't know. I want to.
The end justified the means.
I know.
So thinking about so obviously like the MCU, we've talked about like bad guys, you know, sort of, or good guys kind of doing bad things. Like Wanda is a really good example of that. Is there anyone in the DC side? Because I feel like all the DC villains just suck. Like they're just bad.
Well,
there's no justifying them.
Non-villains though, I mean, if you look at
well, doesn't Batman like kill people sometimes? Or is he anti that?
Well, I'm trying to think of like between like which movies, like which do we want to talk? Harvey Dent. Yeah. Mike said Harvey Dent. Totally, because Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face. Two-Face, right? Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. Yeah. in the Christopher Nolan ones. Fantastic. And you know, we know why he did it. He was sick of, he couldn't defeat who he was elected to defend because they worked out, they, you know, they operated outside of reason. And it's that, you know, age old question of, do I have to operate outside of reason in order to get anything done? Do I have to stoop down to their level in order to somehow defeat them? And is it worth it if several people are hurt in the end?
I love it.
Usually not.
I love a villain that there's just so much better when the villain is something like someone that you can wrap your head around why they're doing it. If it's just because like they're batshit crazy, okay, cool, we'll be entertained. But like Thanos, like you understood where he was coming from, even though you hated him for it and he sucked. Like you didn't agree with it, but like at least he is like, no, y'all, I'm gonna fix
You
it.
understood it.
Mhm.
It was, you know, and if you were you know, if you were one of his followers and, you know, were like witness to that power and that breadth and that, you know, to see the things that he had done, I could totally see where you'd be manipulated into following Thanos. Like, come on, the guy's basically a god. And, you know, if he, in the end, like he said about Gamora's planet, they're thriving now. They're not hungry anymore. But it's like, you couldn't have, you know, called up Ego and had him like, you know, grow a bunch of like a vegetable farm and like bring that there. Like, couldn't we do
Agriculture, infrastructure? We have plenty of like godlike creatures in space that could be like, you get a bridge, you get some corn. Like,
right?
we could have fixed it.
It's Kurt Russell. He could have done anything. So I think it's, but he also, that's what made him a villain, was that he enjoyed being the end all be all and making those
power
decisions.
trip. So I feel like we've talked ourselves into thinking that John Walker is a villain, accidentally so, because we've kind of put him in that category.
After taking the serum, yes, because when you, in my opinion, when you become the villain, it's when you are faced with the tough decision, and what decision do you make? And he decided to take the serum knowing damn well what it was going to do, and he acted irrationally. He wasn't acting at it for the greater good. You know what Steve would have done? Steve would have destroyed the serum, or Steve would have, I can't remember what they were even supposed to do with the serum. Were they supposed to destroy it or like turn? I think
they were like giving it to someone.
I don't remember. They would have, he would have done not what John Walker did. And you know,
that like wiped out our minds. We don't even know the plot of the episode because it was such a thing.
No, it's so much. I should probably watch that. I feel like I need to watch that one again before, because I like the complexity of like the Carly storyline and why she's doing what she's doing. But I feel like she's
another good example, Liz. You're totally right. Like you understand what she's doing, and to her, maybe these guys are the bad guys. She's crossed that line though, just like John did when she blew up that building. But up until that point, we were like, okay, like this makes sense.
And her right-hand guy had said, like, there were people in there. Why did you do that? And she was like, well, we had to, blah, blah, blah. And that was the guy John Walker killed. And do you remember he also said to her when they were at the grave in that cemetery getting all the serum that he really looked up to Captain America and was like the biggest fan. And then he's murdered by his shield.
God. And now like they both don't have their voice of reason. Like their best friends both died in that episode. Like John Walker and Carly are gonna be like, sorry, Sam and Bucky, like you're not needed right now. There's like other big stuff happening, except for be there because
because you need to take care of that. Okay, so I think we I mean, I know that like watch of the week, we're supposed to be talking about like all sorts of things, but like with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I feel like we got to keep recapping it until it's over. And then we got Loki coming up.
Right. It's watch of the week in the sense it's the biggest thing that we're all watching right now. It would have been Wanda.
Right.
But we're here now. We're with you. But if there's other stuff you want us to talk about, like if you want us to go watch that damn Ewok thing, We'll do that for you.
I'll do
And
it.
Mike wants
Right.
to watch it.
I
Mike Avaz is down.
He's down. I know. We know he's down. Yeah, because the only other thing I watched this week, well, I moved this past weekend, so I didn't get to binge what we usually binge. But next up in our Marvel rewatch, I told you we're doing the timeline order. We're watching Iron Man next, and we want to get our TV put up, because we haven't like set it up yet. Actually, I think Eric's supposed to be doing it right now. So
Fingers
we'll see.
crossed.
Fingers crossed. Oh, Mike Avaz is watching The Mighty Duck, the new series, the new Disney series.
Oh my God, how is it?
The new series. It's a funny thing to watch right after Falcon and the Winter Soldier because they release both of the new episodes on Friday, so it just becomes this like Disney silly party. But they are so wildly different in style. They play the theme music. Emilio's there. And so, like, what more could you ask for?
Right.
And you shouldn't ask for more than that because it is a very silly, cheesy, for children series that is very nicely put together so far. But it's just kind of a kind of rehash of like some of the themes. But my wife like loves it, and it's like this is the best. And I'm like, this is cheesy. But anytime they're like,
it's supposed to be though,
and they come on the ice. And Gordon Bombay walks out. I'm in. No spoilers. He's not the coach yet. He's not the coach.
He's gonna be Mike.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Next week I'm wearing my Ducks jersey. I'm doing it. Yeah. I have a Charlie Conway Ducks jersey, like a big old dork, because I loved it.
The Duck. Oh yeah, Jazz says it. She's right. So the Ducks, talk about good guys going bad. The Ducks are the bad guys in this version.
What about Iceland? Was Iceland not available for the series?
Has not made an appearance yet. Iceland has not made an appearance yet.
Maybe we'll start that after we watch Falcon and Stone this Friday. That's what we used to do with
I can't wait to check it out. Thanks for the recommendation. I don't know why I'm not watching it.
1 was really good, 2 was fine, 3 got super cheesy. I'm hoping 4 kind of gets back to this is next time. Lauren Graham's also like a treasure and is also very
love her.
It's a treasure.
And some of the kids are like really good too. So yeah, Lauren Graham holds it together for sure.
Okay.
I can't wait to check that out. While we have you, Mike, does your wife or you watch High School Musical, the series?
I mean, my wife 100% watches High School Musical, the series, and
I love your wife.
With it. In addition to Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist and other things that involve music. I like Zoe's a lot, actually, but High School Musical, the series, that's going to be a tough one to get me to sit down for.
Oh my God, but it's so good.
I'm sure it's wonderful for that moment in your life when you need it. And
what about Julie and the Phantoms?
Yes.
Oh, I don't know what that is.
On Netflix? She's not watched it?
No. Should they?
He will love it.
Is that your recommended watch of the week for my
absolutely.
wife?
Yes.
I mean, that's what we're doing the show for, your wife. And we want you to make her watch Julie and the Phantom.
All right, yeah.
It's so good.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Meg made me watch it and I was like, I don't know what this is. And it was for one of our podcast episodes. And she's like, you have to just watch the pilot so we can talk about it. I was sobbing in the pilot, but it's like heartwarming.
Yeah. Well, sort of. You'll see. Get past the cheesy hot dog aspect and you'll know what I mean when you get there. And that, because I was like, what? Like, I can't watch this.
But that's what makes it silly. I thought I liked that. It was
Can I read? Nostalgic Pod Blast. Chance has done panels with us before and is hanging out on YouTube right now. And he's a huge comic book collector and comic book historian. And said the Cap kill with the shield. And I know a lot of nerds knows of this, but people who don't know this, it's a very specific shot from Captain America issue 254, November 1980, when Steve Rogers kills Baron Blood, the vampire creature, with the shield. So again, he's killing a vampire, but they use that same iconic shot and then twist it in the series. So anyway, cool.
That's a fun tidbit.
Historic tidbit.
Does he know anything about High School Musical that he wants to share?
That's a great question.
Favorite number?
Chance, if you're still watching, let us know about High School Musical, the series, and your thoughts.
I mean, we should all have opinions on that, right?
I know.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's really cool because that shot was like, I was like, ooh, that was meant to be like a poster or like, something.
That was like
not that you want to hang that up, but it was a good shot.
I mean, someone might.
Right. Who knows?
You know,
The next villain.
right?
Mhm.
I'm so happy to talk to you about this show.
I know. I'm loving this. You guys, we're gonna keep doing this every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 Pacific. And yeah, this is super fun. I know we said this last time, but how about next week we'll give away some Falcon and Winter Soldier swag.
Whoa.
Yes.
We're gonna give some stuff away. We'll do trivia. We could do like we'll save some time for trivia and we'll give away some sick prizes.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay.
Okay. Ducks fly
Awesome.
together.
Ducks fly together. Ducks fly together. Thanks for joining us. Check out purefandom.com. Check out wizardworld.com for all their amazing experiences. Look at this background that Mike has going on right now. Yes.
Oh my God, it's
the
him.
dancing?
Yeah, Did you see they put it on like a loop? My husband
So
showed
good.
me.
So good.
Like you could watch it for like a full hour.
Well, look, and then if I can dance with, where'd he go?
I could watch it for a full hour. I mean, you
Dance
gotta
it,
love the
Mike.
guy,
Dance it, Mike.
right? Oh, you
Tell-
kind of got his moves down too.
Oh,
The little punches. He reminds me of Angel. Remember when Angel would dance?
Oh gosh.
He's like-
Now I know what I'm gonna be for Halloween because his
Right?
coat is sick. That fur coat. Oof. Love it. Bye.
I love it. I just want to dance with him.
I know,
The
me
best.
too. Awesome.
You
All
took
right,
him
guys.
away. Now we're just dancing. Bye,
Now
guys.
we're just dancing. This is how we end each watch of the week. Check us out every Wednesday at 9 p.m. We'll see y'all next time.
Bye.